Hello, everyone. Hopefully, all of the tech issues we had last week are a thing of the past. I say that and things will suddenly go wrong, but hopefully the microphone's working good. The camera's actually working today. My hair is everywhere, all over the place today, but it is what it is. We've got a bit more of a structured show today. I've got a few more topics I definitely want to talk about, so we're not just going to ramble aimlessly. And for the sake of everyone's sanity, including Andrew, who has to start and end the show, or likes to start and end the show at least, we're going to try and make sure that we keep it to around about an hour, because last week we went on for about an hour and 15 minutes, which was a bit too long for everybody. So, especially me, I got very hot and sweaty and warm. So, yeah, looking to try and keep the time down to more of a reasonable amount this week. Not too much crazy things have happened this week, so there's nothing. There's nothing too crazy to go through. Obviously, the Blast groups is going on, or it's just finished, and now they're all flying to Lisbon to play the playoffs. I don't think there's anything too crazy there. Maybe FaZe Clan dropping out, but I suppose they lost to Spirit and Virtus Pro. Maybe the VP loss is a bit rough, but Spirit probably not too crazy. I think that's about the only major upset that could have maybe happened. But I mean, trying to get 6 teams out of these teams these days is quite tough. So yeah, I think everything's about normal. So jumping into my first topic, let's grab up the screen share, because as we all know, we have got. Oh, look at that. Wait, let's flip us over. There we go. Oh, they're both called me. Look at that. Okay, that's weird. Has not happened before. Will the Holzerk cigarette smoking routine come out smoking? Holzerk doesn't smoke cigarettes. Nobody on the team actually smokes cigarettes. We haven't had a single cigarette smoker on the team since we started this North American team, actually. I think the only player we had who he vaped was Sonic when he subbed in for us back in 2023 for Dallas and the Blast Spring Finals. He vaped, but that's about it. So that's actually quite a big benefit. I've worked on teams before where players have smoked, and it's actually a really big time sink in between maps and in between matches when you have to go outside, smoke, and do all these things outside. It just takes up time. When are we getting sponsored by Diet Coke? I don't think we will be getting sponsored by Diet Coke anytime soon, but I mean, I'm sure everyone's out there trying to sell to Diet Coke, but I have a feeling they're probably not super interested in an esports sponsorship, but that's just a hunch. Coke Zero is infinitely better than Diet Coke, but let's focus on the topic at hand. I'm going to look to my left because it's on my second screen. I want to be able to see you guys and the thing, but so HLTV came up with a predictive, I guess it's a predictive model. It's not 100%. It's definitely not 100% correct, but it's a predictive model of the teams and the points they'll have going into the April 7th cutoff. There's a few things that could definitely change here. Notably, I think the main thing that could change is Astralis and VP may flip-flop up and down. And that's obviously quite a big one because this is the qualifiers and this is stage 2. And the reason these two can flip-flop around is, well, I'll show you. So HLT, Virtus Pro, let's start with them. If we go to their matches, you will, I actually prefer the stats page, hold on. You will notice, so all these teams that they've won against, it's quite important. It's the teams that they've won against. When they win these matches, they get head-to-head ELO. And technically, you can still benefit from these matches when they recalculate the rankings every match. These ELO numbers change ever so slightly. And you'll notice that they've got wins over Falcons, FaZe, and then, very importantly, us and Wildcard, and also Eternal Fire and G2. And the reason that's important is because you'll notice G2 are still to play matches. Eternal Fire still to play matches. So if they win their matches, they can become more valuable in the whole ranking system. And if they become more valuable in the ranking system, the value of VP's head to head against them for winning will become more valuable. And that's how VP overtook Astralis a few days ago, was because G2 won and Eternal Fire. Eternal Fire beat Navi, and G2 beat the Mongols. So this could still change quite a bit. I also know that Astralis also have a lot of teams that are playing in upcoming tournaments, as far as I know, that they've won against. So FaZe are knocked out of Blast. Mongols are out of Blast. I don't think Big are playing anything. I don't think Mibba might be. No, Mibba are not playing the Astana qualifiers. I think Saw might have something. BetBoom definitely have the Yellow Compass qualifiers. I haven't seen Zero Tenacity in anything. I think OG still have some tournaments to play. I think they're in that Galaxy Battle thing. I think Paravision also have some tournaments to play. 500 also have some tournaments to play. So there's definitely teams for both of them that can earn them some more points. And with the gap only being 1 point, I think that is going to be a very interesting situation to watch unfold, as all these Astana qualifiers and Yellow Compass and what else is there? Galaxy Battle. Like there's a bunch of these little events, I guess you call it. Also, this Bet Boom Land to Land. I mean, Paravision are in that, so they can earn points. This ends before the 7th. So Paravision for Astralis, and then you've also got. I don't think MIBR are in this, so they should be fine from that. But certainly they've got Wildcard in the Astana qualifier. Wildcard playing with Stewie 2K. I can tell you this is not the lineup that they will be playing with. They will not be playing with this lineup. They will be playing with Stewie 2K, not for JBA. That was a misclick. But they will not be playing with this lineup. I don't think I'll mention who's being replaced, but it's not JBA. And then obviously you've got us in the Yellow Compass qualifier, which is here. So this Yellow Compass qualifier, we're playing in this, and that will be a big points earner for us as well. So I'm very curious to see who ends up getting this slot. It's essentially completely out of Virtus Pro and Astralis' hands. They are just letting sort of Jesus take the wheel, and I feel like that must be a nerve-wracking 2 weeks, or how many days is it? It's nearly 2 weeks. It's like 12 days. 12 days of just sitting back and waiting. So that's going to be very interesting. Asia is, well, the Mongols have got this wrapped up. There's no way they're not going to be the number 1 seed. This is actually confusing, right? So this is predicting that Rare Atom will overtake FlyQuest. So these are the teams sorted into their regional qualifiers. So it's not necessarily sorted by rank, though, because Eruption have more points than Rooster, but because Eruption are in the Asia MRQ, they don't get in, even though they have more points than a team in the Oceanic MRQ. So take that with a bit of a pinch of salt. But I think the main thing that's important here is FlyQuest. FlyQuest didn't earn enough points to retain the highest ranking within the qualifiers, and that'll be Rare Atom. So there'll be two teams coming from these 4 Chinese teams. So I'd be looking at certainly Rare Atom and Tai Lu, I think, are the 2 quite clear favorites in that. But I know the Lin Vision team can do a bit of damage as well. So 2 teams from these 4, and then 1 team from Oceania and 1 team from the Asia qualifier. So I think the Oceanic qualifier. I mean, Semper Fi have proven they can be pretty decent, and they got heavily boosted by that recent defrag LAN event that was in Australia recently. All these basically gave them 600 points or something stupid. Not 600, 400 points. So they kind of got boosted. Same with Talon as well. They had the same situation where they went to the LAN event. They lost 2 games, but essentially the same thing. So this looks a lot closer than it is, but still, domestic matchups and all of them only 1 team qualifying. That's really tough. Elephant in the room, obviously. Atox are ESIC suspended right now, so I don't think they will be allowed to play the qualifier. I don't think they'll be allowed to play. But I mean, there's nothing that says in Valve's rules that they should be banned, but Blast is a partner of the ESIC, so Blast can logically exclude them, but they still have to officially announce it. And then I assume that means Eruption will move up into that last spot, which is also by 1 point. Wow. I don't know if there's any more qualifiers in. Oh no, Eruption and the Mongolians. Yeah, they will go into this one, right? Yeah, they will. So I don't know if there's any. Well, I think they'll go in there anyway. But yeah, technically, they are only 1 point away. So if there's any more matches they could play, they could move up. And then, of course, the one that we all care about, truthfully, I think this is the one that's going to have the most drama involved in it, for a number of reasons, mostly because it's somewhat unsettled. So, yeah, Liquid, number one in America's team, that's confirmed. You might see this Asia thing disappear. Don't know. But they'll be the number one America's team no matter what. And they'll be getting the stage 3 invite for Americas. And then, yeah, the three musketeers of Brazilian Counter-Strike, Pain, Fury, Mibba, are all locked in now. There's no way anyone could overtake any of them. So, yeah, congratulations, Pain, Fury, MIBR on your major invitations. I know that's pretty big for a lot of them. They're pretty regular these days. I think the last time any of those three missed out on the major was probably Copenhagen. I think MIBR missed out on Copenhagen. They lost to us in the final qualification game. So I think that's the last time any of those three missed out on the major. So they're pretty regular by this point. And then, yeah, this is the real tough bit. There's no way Energy or below can qualify at this point for the major directly. That's pretty certain, and same for the South America. Like, none of these teams can qualify directly to the major now. Obviously, Wildcard occupy the last slot, and they are predicted to be 9 points ahead of M80, and they both play in the same qualifier, the Astana qualifier coming up. Just so you remember, the last time when we played the Bucharest qualifier and we beat Wildcard in the final, we ended up gaining 60 points from that qualifier, and Wildcard ended up losing 10. So a lot of that was the swing, because we directly beat them. So they lost like 20 points from that. We probably gained like 15 points or something. Like, it was probably quite a big single match swing that caused that deficit. But yeah, it's definitely very close between them, and especially if they're making a roster change where, they're making a roster change, most likely it seems, with Stewie coming in, then yeah, it's going to be a lot harder for them to retain their spot, which is, perhaps cynically why, if they were to get rid of one of these three players, they would then lose this little European thing. They would become a full Americas team, and then they wouldn't have the risk of playing the EU qualifier. So think of that what you will, but it's certainly very convenient if they plan to make a change this late that it works out like that. And obviously, yeah, we here, technically, we still have a shot at qualifying. The gap is 105 points. If we assume that Wildcard and M80 maybe gain like a few points over the course of the qualifier, we are playing Yala Compass, and it's definitely feasible that we can earn 100 plus points. Whether we can overtake both of them, I don't know for sure. It's also possible that both of them bomb out of the qualifier to noobs, teams that don't have much points. They lose like 60 points each, and then obviously it makes it a lot easier for us. But I'm going to assume that they both probably win their groups, make it to playoffs, at which point they'll probably earn some points no matter what. And then they might beat each other. They might lose to Energy or Blue Jays and lose 10, 15, 20 points. Like, I don't know, but we're going to do what we can do to try and qualify. And if we don't make it, then we've had a really good event going into PGL Bucharest. So there's not much for us to really lose. We can only really gain at this point. So yeah, hoping. I can't reveal the team list for Yellow Compass because I think they're announcing it on the 28th. I mean, I suppose technically I shouldn't have even announced we're playing, but I don't care. I think it's fine. So yeah, we're playing the Yellow Compass Close Qualifier. It's got some pretty high value European teams in there, like from like the tier 2 kind of online kind of groups, like the CCT kind of teams. So hopefully we can rack up some value. And yeah, I mean, technically I think we could earn like up to 150 points if we win like all 5 games, and like the seeding works out that we play like the most valuable teams. But I think it's more likely we end up with around about 100, and it'll be quite tight. But we'll do what we can. Just a reminder for everyone, our schedule is to go. We're flying to the boot camp tomorrow. The guys based in the US, they're flying to the boot camp tomorrow, and then we start practice on the 29th. We will practice for what, 1, 2, 3, 4 days. For 4 days of practice, and then an adjustment to the jet lag, and then we play 2 days of the Yellow Compass qualifier. Then we fly to Bucharest on the 4th, and then we do media on the 5th, and then we play our first matches already on the 6th of April. So yeah, we're in sort of the end of our build up now, and then we will play probably play the major qualifier. But I don't think. I don't know. Obviously, the only thing that's a little bit of a concern is we might suffer from our own success if we make it to the Bucharest playoffs, which I don't think is unrealistic. I think it would be a good run if we made it to the playoffs. Obviously, that would then delay us flying back to the US by 1 to 3 days, depending on how far we go. And yeah, I mean the MRQ starts on the 15th of April. If we made it to the final of Bucharest, we would land in the US on the 14th. So it's not the most ideal situation to actually make it that deep, which is kind of frustrating. But if we make it to the final of Bucharest, I think we'll all be very happy and flying home, feeling good about ourselves. So if we do play the qualifier, I'd like to think we can make it work. But it's never good playing on jet lag. Bonamant, I can tell you. Those are the confirmed teams for the main event, but the close qualifier hasn't been announced. It's being announced on the 28th at midday, I think. I'll just tell you when it was being announced. It's being announced on the 28th at 12 p.m. CET, so that would be 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern for you guys. This is a nice shirt, Cole Amy's. You can buy it at shop.cole.gg, I think, or just go to complexity.gg and you'll find the shop right there. I'm not American, I'm British, so this is kind of blasphemy, to be honest. Like, I really shouldn't be wearing this, but it was the first Complexity shirt that was on the top of the pile, so that's the one I'm wearing today. Oh, look at that. Complexity USA tee with Mike Grimm Wentz right there. Are they in practice now? Yeah, they're in practice right now, so they're not watching. So we haven't got the guys in the chat this week. This is their last day of practice today. Who are we playing? Okay, we're playing some good teams. Playing wildcard later as well. That's nice. Cool. So what was next? Let's do an update on the coach while we're here. Let's stop the screen sharing. Hold on. There we go. Stop the screen sharing. Nice. Update on the coach situation. So I think I'm seven interviews deep with different coaches. I think I've got 3 more this week to do. So yeah, getting really into the nitty gritty of it all. Very, very exciting. Lots of good options, I think. Whether they are the right option for us remains to be seen. So yeah, hoping to finish all these kind of first interviews this week, and then go from there. Maybe include JT. Obviously, he's in-game leader, and he'll have a very sort of unique relationship with the coach compared to the other players. So I think it's valuable that he gets to sort of hear how the coach wants to operate, how, what kind of culture they want to set, how they want to run the team, what kind of influence they want to have. So I think JT will come in with some pretty important viewpoints on things like that. So he'll come in for the second round of interviews. Then hopefully we can lock lock a coach down in the next few weeks. But as I said, it's not something we are looking to rush into. I think it's more important that we find the right person rather than the first person, or if we feel rushed into getting a person that we're not like 100% happy with. So yeah, it's going to take a little while, but we will get there. I'm actually just double check. So I just double checked the the coach for PGL Bucharest has to be locked in by tomorrow. So I guess it's very, very likely that I will probably be the coach for Bucharest, simply because at the moment there isn't anyone else. And that's not ideal, but at the same time, I think that if we think about the whole situation we're in for the next few weeks, it's actually not the worst situation to be in, because we cannot use a coach for the major qualifier anyway. So playing Bucharest without a coach will essentially just be practice for the major qualifier. We'll be in the same situation as we would be. So it's it's getting used to that situation, not having someone, being able to take a timeout and give it extra input. Getting used to that, I think, is pretty valuable. It's the same way we played the Bucharest qualifier a few weeks ago. Coaches weren't allowed in that either. So, and I need to check. Actually, we haven't received a rule book. For the Yellow Compass qualifier yet. So we still need to establish whether a coach can be used there. So we will figure that out. But I think it's highly likely that we won't have a coach for Bucharest. I'm not sure of the value of just bringing in someone for one day, to do, stand behind the team and talk to them without having a full understanding of our strategic outlook, how the guys want to play. I think it doesn't provide that much value to us. So I think just sort of going as we are right now is going to be the best way forward. But yeah, looking to get a coach locked in the next few weeks. Whether it lines up with any of our events, I don't know. It's not, like I said, it's not something that we're desperately looking to have just for the sake of having it. So yeah, more updates hopefully next week. Speaking of next week, this is episode 3 right now. Next week will be episode 4. And I will be at the boot camp next week, based on the schedule. I'll be at the boot camp next week with the 3 United States guys. So we'll be with Grim, Sixy, and Nix. I think depending on the match schedule we get, I'm just checking the match schedule now. If we don't play the very last match of the schedule for that day, then it is very likely that we can have at least one of the guys, if not all of them, on the show next week. So that might be the first guest appearance from 1, 2, or 3 of all the US players on the team, as they'll all be at the boot camp together. So yeah, let me know who the most exciting person is, and I'll make them know. I'll let them know it was a popularity contest and that 2 of them lost. But yeah, we'll try and get one of those guys on next week, at least one, if not more than one. And we'll do it live from the boot camp, as long as we're not in the wrong match and we're not playing at the same time. So yeah, that'll be fun for next week. That'll be episode 4. So I guess I don't know what that'll be, what the subject of that will be, but it'll be something. Maybe it'll be the qualifier itself. Also looking to get some content filmed next week with the guys. Going to try and get some fun interview things. So if you've got any ideas of things you'd like to have the guys do or answer questions for, or just generally what can we put in front of a camera and ask them questions about, then send them over to me or to Scott Cole. I think he's in the Twitch chat. or on the Discord. The Discord's a really good place to send stuff like that. And you can also, the Discord, I think it's complexity.gg/Discord. I think that takes you to our Discord. So if you go into there, or is it not that? It's discord.gg/complexity. That's right. Discord.gg/complexity. Also, there's a QR code at the top right. I've just been pointed out. If you scan that QR code, you'll also go to our Discord. If you head into the hashtag CS chat, I'm in there every day, way more than I probably should be, but I'm in there every day. Throw me questions. Let me know what you want to do, what content ideas would be fun, and we'll try and get things filmed. Ultimately, we make this content for you guys. It's not for us, so it's what you guys find interesting. So I'm happy to try and get anything done that is valuable to you guys. So that's the general plan we've got for the next few weeks. Bootcamp, Yala Campus, Bucharest, maybe the MRQ. And then obviously a few weeks after that, we will have Fragadelphia in Vegas. Looking forward to getting all the guys into the States and playing on LAN, racking up those LAN wins for the VRS. It's definitely not an abuse of the system. It's working as intended. So yeah, that's us for the next few weeks. What else did I have on my list of stuff? I've lost my list. I've really breezed through the MRQ thing that I thought would take a lot longer than normal. So actually, I do have one more thing to explain on the whole MRQ thing, because I think it's quite valuable that people understand why this whole system is happening. So let's just jump back into that, because this is actually a VRS. Is actually a VRS podcast, just masquerading as not a VRS podcast. So picture in picture. That was not the button I wanted to press. Oh, I know why that didn't work. Because this wasn't enabled. Look at that. There we go. Sweet. Can I make that bigger? No. I want that bigger. There we go. Look at that. So just to try and explain a bit more about the reason why, let's just do it with us because we can, about the reason why the team's values can go up and down. Actually, let's do it with Astralis and Virtus Pro, because they're the two most interesting ones. So Virtus Pro, as you can see, this is all their matches they played up until this is from the 3rd of March. So this is an outdated ranking, but it's still relevant because actually it includes the wins against both us and Wildcard, which are quite interesting. So these are from PGL Cluj Napoca. That's not how it's pronounced, which is why I always call it PGL Cluj. So the basic part of the ranking you can see here is these 4 pillars. So the bounty offered is basically the prize money that your team has earned, and you can see that at the very bottom. This is the part that calculates the bounty offered. So you can see that it basically takes the 5th highest team, which is this team here. Whoever the 5th highest has this much prize money, and it divides the two together and tells you that you are a 3rd apparently, and then it scales it using this curve function, and then the output of that is 0.675. So that's the bounty offered, and then the bounty collected is, you can see here, is based on the team that you beat, how much value they have. So you can see we didn't give them much value compared to Wildcard. So I guess technically we can go in and see what those two differences are, because why not? So at the time, we were apparently giving them, 0.3, so 0.09. And Wildcard, how did that scroll down so far? And Wildcard were probably a bit more than that. So they were, 58,000. So not that much for either of us. So we weren't super valuable teams for Virtus Pro to beat, at least not at the time. We may become more valuable as time goes on. Sorry, I was looking at VP, wasn't I? VP. Cool. So bounty collected is basically all of these sort of added up. So this was a big one. They beat G2, who were worth a whole 1. So that's quite important. And then they add all these up, and then they scale it and do some funny math. Don't need to explain that too much. And it becomes this number, Same thing for opponent network, which is basically the sum of the opponents that you've beaten and the opponents that they've beaten. So this basically says that like Wildcard have beaten a lot of different teams, and we haven't. Same with Eternal Fire; they've beaten a lot of different teams, or a lot of teams, and G2. So this calculates up, and then LAN wins we've been through before is just LAN wins. I'm making this a very basic. I know this is a lot more complicated than I'm actually explaining it. So please don't, please don't tell me actually it's slightly different. Like I'm trying to do it very basic for everyone. So these will get added up basically, and these form the sort of the four pillars of the initial rank. So you can see here, they take the initial average of these, and then they divide it by the best team, which I think for this week was Spirit. I think Spirit. Yeah, so Spirit divided by themselves. And then the team that's number one will always have 2,000 points. They will always have 2,000 points. And then after that, the head-to-head gets adjusted. So this head-to-head part gets done after the rest of the ranking. And that's the key part to all of this, especially for the Virtus Pro Astralis situation, is that after every single match happens in the entirety of the VRS, the head-to-head gets redone. So as teams change their bounty collected and their opponent network by playing matches, they may increase their overall rank, which makes them more valuable, brings them closer to the 2,000 team. And by doing that, when they then recalculate all of these head-to-heads, some of them may go down, some of them may go up. So, for example, if Wildcard and us make ourselves more valuable than we are today by winning a match, we would increase our opponent network, for example. Then, potentially once the event ends, we would increase our bounty offered and our bounty collected. So the head-to-head is recalculated on old data, essentially, which means that these numbers can change as time progresses. So yeah, that's basically the reason why us and Wildcard in these, so Wildcard in the Astana qualifier and Complexity in the Yala Compass qualifier, if we start racking up wins, then this 2.32 and this 5.09 may become more valuable and may earn VP more points, and that's why they may, bump themselves up in the rankings. So again, that's a very, very basic explanation of how and why this all works. But I think the main thing to keep in mind is that this part is all calculated first. So you get these points and then they add the adjustment. You can see here, the final rank is the starting rank, which is these parts all scaled against the number one team, plus the head-to-head, which in Virtus Pro case is minus the head-to-head, but yeah, plus the head-to-head adjustments. And that's what gives them their final rank. So this part can still be affected by the teams playing matches, even when you yourself as a team are not playing matches. So yeah, obviously, and the other thing to factor in is obviously the age weight here. You can see things will decay, so things will get less valuable as time goes on. So some of these matches will drop off by the time we play, which could be beneficial to VP based on some of these minuses. But yeah, things will begin to shape themselves out in the next few days. But HLTV's predictor of the rankings is, from what I can tell, pretty accurate. So I would say this is accurate with the caveat that other matches can still affect the teams who are not playing. And that's why things can get quite interesting in the next few days, for sure. I don't think that we can benefit too much because, well, we can benefit a little bit from some things because we have beaten. So I think like the main thing that could benefit us is these guys. So all these guys winning matches. I mean, technically, wildcard winning matches is good for us, even though they're the team we're trying to overtake, which is a bit of a weird situation to be in. Because if they get better, then our value against them gets more valuable. Obviously, fractionally, it's not as much, but fractionally will get better. So, yeah, potentially wildcard winning matches could be good for us if M80 overtake them and we have to overtake M80. But I think the main thing is, like, if these teams do well and start winning matches, then that's good for us and our ranking could start increasing. based on their wins, which is obviously beneficial to us. Imperial would be nice if they had any matches, but I think they're playing in ESL Impact, and the ESL Impact doesn't end until after. I think it ends on the 11th of April, so we won't get any value from them winning any of these matches, unfortunately. And then, yeah, we haven't really got any other wins, unfortunately. Cloud9 are dead. Imperial, I mean, we could still get some value from Imperial. I think Imperial are playing in the South American qualifier, so we could get some value from Imperial, and oddly, we can get value from M80 as well. So, yeah, we're in a bit of a sticky situation where the two teams that we need to lose points are also a way we can get. So Imperial playing ECL. Unfortunately, ECL doesn't end until like May. So yeah, unfortunately, the both of the ECLs will not be counted for this current cycle, because you can see here they all end on the 11th of May. So only events that end before the 7th of April will count. So basically, it's all the Astana qualifiers across all the different regions, which I didn't know there was. How can there be so many? Is there like a? Oh, okay. So there is an Asia qualifier, which is okay. Man, this must be like the worst ping qualifier in the world. Like, how can Oceania play against China, rest of Asia, and Middle East? Ugh. Yeah, so Slove, there's all the kind of, well, there's 24 teams in this qualifier that doesn't include Liquid and doesn't include Complexity. So if you're a relevant enough team, you should already be in this qualifier. So yeah, pretty much every single ECL and most of the advanced teams should be represented in here. So I'm a massive Aether, Marsborn. If Marsborn can knock out M80, Mythic, Flom, my guy. You need to get into this match and send these guys down here somewhere. Flom, you got to do it for me, brother. Who's in Vagrant? And these guys. One of you two knock M80 down here. Unless Northern Cossacks can... Okay, they don't even have a fifth. No, they're not going to do it. And then who's in Wildcards group? FlyQuest Red. Come on, Munira, Goose Breeder. You got to do it for us. I feel like this group is way weaker than this group. Maybe I'm crazy. These are the number 2 seed in that group. I suppose that's how it works. Yeah, I mean, they should have the easiest group because they're the number 1 seed. So let's have a look. Blue Jays. So Blue Jays doing good is good for us. So if they can just sneak through this whole group, that would be fantastic. Yeah, I think this, like, when these guys, I mean, Fisher College are no pushovers. Like, these guys are pretty decent. We played them in some scrims. Like, they're not terrible by any means. So like, they could actually give Getting Info a pretty good run for their money. I heard that Semphis is going to be coaching Getting Info. That's the rumor I've heard. But yeah, this team is definitely going to give Blue Jays a run for their money, I think. And then, whoa, how did that happen? How are Party Astronauts the 8th best team in their group? Did they lose all their VRS points? I know they've lost a lot of players. Like, do they still have... Yeah, Fang is on Getting Info now. So Energy and Nouns, I suppose that's the big 2 teams, and then yeah, Party Astronauts must have been the 8th seed. Interesting. Wait, where are Chill Guys? Are Chill Guys not playing? Or did I just miss them? Chill Guys aren't playing. Oh no. They're like the number 1 team we needed to do well because we beat them twice. Oh well, okay. It's all over for us. I didn't realize that they weren't playing. That's disappointing. Maybe they've all got school or something. Oh well. That's disappointing, but I guess we need to put things on our own hands anyway. We can't just rely on other teams. But yeah, Aether, I think we played these guys in the first game last time. So if they can win some games, that's good for us. And then Blue Jays, basically, They're the two teams. Did I see Take Flight anywhere? Take Flight playing? No, Take Flight aren't playing either. Did wait? Did Chill Guys? Did they have to play the qualifiers? This was based off of the 3rd of March qualifiers. Just a Chill Guys just not on here. Oh, okay. So they didn't get invited, most likely. I'm guessing they just didn't get invited because Super Evil Gang are in the qualifier. Maybe they didn't get invited and they didn't get through the qualifiers. Do we know if they played the qualifiers? I'm just really confused because they were good. Like, who was the last VRS team? Aether? Wait, this mixes teams. Hold on. So Wanted Goons got in. Super Evil Gang got in. Oh, I see. I see. It's because this lists the teams by their HLTV rank. So, like Fisher College have a high HLTV rank, but they still have to go through the qualifier because their Valve rank is not so good. Right. Okay. Yeah, they must have lost in the open qualifiers, right? I mean, it's possible they didn't, but oh, hold on. I'm getting lost now. Who was the last team who got? So FlyQuest Red got a VRS invite. Aether got a VRS invite. Wanted Goons and Super Evil Gang. I swear that they were like all the teams around. Yeah, so this is Chill Guys. But Chicken Coop. Did Chicken Coop get an invite? Sorry, I'm just going back and forth. Yeah, Chicken Coop got an invite. So they must have declined their invite. Chill Guys must have declined their invite for sure. So I'd love to know why, because they could have earned us a bunch of points because they were good. They were genuinely playing like good Counter-Strike last week, or not last week, a few weeks ago. So, oh yeah, FlyQuest Red are also lower ranked. So yeah, they must have declined their invite. That's it is what it is. We can't control the things out of our own. We can't control the things out of our own sphere of influence, you know. So, yeah, it is what it is. What's this? Minus Stanislaw. Like, honestly, we could probably just do a whole show of just reading HLTV forums. Like, that would actually be like complete craziness. But we're not going to do that. Let's just jump back into the events that are still happening before the cutoff, just so we can be clear on those. Yeah, so all of the Astana qualifiers are all confirmed. Anything that ends before April 7th will be included. So yeah, all of these. Good to note that PGL Bucharest, even though it starts beforehand, will not be included. None of the matches will be included. Obviously, Melbourne, Monterrey, no. This one's a big one. This Mesa Pro Series, because as far as I know, this only includes Mongolian teams potentially. I think it's like a Mongolian only event. I think Liquipedia has a better outlook of what that looks like, but yeah, I think it only potentially includes Mongolian teams, which yeah, will be an interesting one because it's LAN only as well. So it's they aren't called Chill Guys anymore. They're called LFO4. Does that mean they're in the qualifier then? Ah, there they are. Thank you, Brazyman1. Thank you, Brazyman1. That is very helpful to know. Okay, so LFO4 are in the qualifier. They're going to play against the winner of, or the loser of, or whatever. They're going to play in this bracket here. I'm actually not sure that's necessarily good for us because NOG might be the team that we need to step up and beat Wildcard and M80 in the playoffs. So maybe they can sneak some wins and then NOG can do like a lower bracket run and not beat them once or something. It's kind of messed up. Like we were in the same situation where if you win all these matches and you get to this match, you lose one match and you get eliminated, whereas the team that comes from the lower bracket can lose one match and they can qualify. Like this match is played so poorly in so many tournaments. Like I think the best example, I'm going to switch to Dota for now because that's not TI. Where's TI? Oh, tier 1. Like the best example is TI because like they do it all the time where they play this match as a single best of 5 and you get no head start. So like I think it was 2022, no, one of these, a team just came straight from the lower bracket. So PSG LGD lost 0 best of 3s, gets no head start in the final. It's just a straight best of 5, and they lose $13 million. Like that is just crazy to me. Like how is this not a double best of 3? It's only one extra map potentially. Like it's guaranteed one more map, and it's potentially only one extra map. Like for $13 million, I mean, I know the money in TI has gone down a lot since this one. I think this was the last big one, but like, yeah, Spirit can lose a best of 3 and then just still win. Like I feel like that's just crazy to me personally. I know Liquid, I think back in 2017, I think it was, Liquid, I think, did the lower bracket run of craziness. So they lost to IG and then just went all the way through the lower bracket and beat Newbie, who, yeah, again, had won all their matches. I mean, Liquid did win their group in fairness, but yeah, they still lost. And then, yeah, came back and just 3-0'd Newbie. So Newbie have lost 3 maps in one series and then just get eliminated and lose out on $7 million, give or take. Anyway, this is not a Dota 2 tournament talk. This is a Valve VRS tournament. So yeah, in an ideal world, LFO would go through to the final, so they would win their one. Actually, no, in an ideal world, they would go down and win 1, 2, 3, 4, and then lose that. Or they could win 1, 2, 3. Okay, they can win 4 matches either way, as long as they. Oh no, they can only win 3 matches here. Otherwise, they'll progress. So I need LFO to lose and then win 4 matches. That would be the best situation for us. I'm really clutching at straws now to try and figure out what the best situation is. But basically, any team that we beat is good. And obviously, I suppose the best situation would just be M80 losing 2 matches before this match and then not getting through to playoffs. And same for wildcard. But I think that's definitely a bit much. But we'll see. It's as I said, we can't control it. It's just something that hypothetically, what would be the best situation? That would be the best situation for us. But I think a lot of those outcomes are quite unlikely. But if you don't will it into existence, it will never become a thing, right? So desperately trying to will it into existence, and we will see. We will see if we can make it happen. But I think that qualifier does it start tomorrow? No, it starts in 2 days. So yeah, so this qualifier will be completely finished by the time we play. Our match. So. Yeah, we will at least know like what we have to achieve by the time we play. And I don't know if you guys know, but HLTV have their little they've taken it down. They've taken it down again. They used to have a little VRS thing. They had it. They put it up. They took it down. They put it up again, and now they've taken it down again. They used to have a little VRS calculator here, which was quite useful. Maybe it's just not on that match. Maybe there's another match that's like more valuable that they put it on. Yeah, here you go. So the VRS forecast. Oh, is it because Wildcard's opponent just like isn't? Yeah, I think it's because they like don't exist. I think it's because they're just like they're so obscure they don't exist. They can't calculate the points. So yeah, you can see here like energy plus 9 points minus 21. So like we can track this as the qualifier goes on. Obviously, maybe this one will show it for M80. See, theirs doesn't show it either. So I don't know if it's because there's like not a full roster, so it can't determine what the ranking is. I think that's what it is. I think it's because they don't have a full roster listed. They can't. They do have a full roster here though. I don't know. I don't know why it's not showing for M80 and wildcards games, but yeah, it will do for the later games at least. And it's clearly kind of working because it is showing for this game. So um, yeah, we will track that through the qualifier and see how everyone's doing. So you can see even like this is their current points. This is the amount of points they'll get, and then yeah, obviously what they'll lose and everything else. So we will see. And yeah, hopefully it might be also because they don't have VRS points, but technically every roster has 400 points. Like the minimum a team starts with is 400. So if they've never played a match, they'll have 400 as a baseline, but they won't have any value in bounty collected, bounty offered, or opponent network or land wins. So they'll just be like a flat 400, and they're worth nothing basically in terms of, well, if you beat them, you get head-to-head points, I guess, but technically they're worth nothing to beat because they'll have no value to give you. So it might just be, yeah, 400 is the minimum. You can actually see this. Screw it. Let's dive into the code while we're here. We're already getting quite deep into this. So if you go into the model and then go to, I think it's in the main. No, it's not. It's in the team one. So you can see, no, it's not the team one. It's here it is. So you can see here, this sets the maximum and minimum for for like the initial team. So the lowest ranked team will always have 400, and the highest ranked team will always have 2,000. Like those are set. So if you remember when I showed you Team Spirit, they can't get Spirit in the Americas ranking, can I? They have the 2,000, so they start with the 2,000 because they were the number one team. So technically, somewhere, you couldn't make it up if you tried, could you? You could not make it up if you tried. Okay, an unranked team always offers points. You're right, because they'll have one match played when they calc for own network. That's true. Yeah, because as soon as they play that match, they'll be worth something. Team USA is the worst team. Are they? They actually are the worst team. They might not be the only team, but they are one of the worst teams. They are one of the worst teams. That's okay. That's not too bad. How many teams are on? Okay, these guys have got 402 points. So yeah, Galleries Academy and Team USA. That's I hope we're never down here. But yeah, essentially, an unranked team will always have 400 points, and they will offer something in terms of network, because when they play a match, they get themselves on the ranking. So yeah, they'll offer something. Not much, admittedly, but something. But I don't think that's why they're not offering matches, not offering points in these matches on HLTV. I think that's just like a it's not ongoing, is it? It's all events. I think that's just like a bug with their implementation of it, because it clearly is working for the other matches. So I think it's something to do with the teams themselves. Yeah, so this is all working for the other teams. And yeah, it's as you can see, like when the teams are quite far away in Elo, the point swings can be quite significant. So I mean, the best thing that for us to happen would be for like Wildcard to lose this first match, because that's probably like a minus 35, like straight off the bat, which would be very, very helpful for us. But I somehow doubt it. Doubt it will ever happen. But yeah, we'll see. All right, we're getting close to the hour mark, so I'm going to try and wrap things up here. Tried not to make it about VRS, but annoyingly, everything that's worth talking about this week is about VRS. At least worth talking about that I can talk about, because there's things going on. I think this is going to be a very fun week for everyone. There's definitely things going on in the background, but obviously I can't talk about everything, or I don't want to necessarily share other people's information without wow, there's a lot of matches happening today and tomorrow. Holy wow. So many matches. I don't want to talk about other people's stuff, so it's we'll leave it for that. I just saw Jambo had a big game, and that's an upgrade on Bermilov, at least. Jambo's had a good game there. Damn. You don't see this every day. Oh, thanks. He's going pretty hard as an entry as well. Like I think Blame F gets a bit too much shit sometimes. This is first kills. Like aside from having a bad time against Farvan, like he's fucking smashing entries, bro. Like I think Blame F gets a lot of shit that he doesn't necessarily deserve. Obviously, Jambo's also cracked on it, but like Crims isn't really entering apart from against this one guy. Fear's not really doing too much. Like, dude, he's entering a lot. That's probably why he's dying. Well, actually, it's not why he's dying because he's only died 6 times. It's just a very weird anomaly. His rating is still good. He's having good impact. He's just not managed to get the kills. But yeah, Jambo might just be the guy. But according to supposedly he cost 500,000, which 500,000 is a lot of money for one single player these days. So yeah, yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to spend on one player. Um, whether that player is going to drive you back to success and qualify you for multiple majors, so, maybe it's worth it. But to be honest, like right now, the majors, at least the general trend is the money is going down. So it's almost not even you're not even getting that much value from qualifying for the majors. So it's definitely questionable whether the investment is worth it for something like that. And then I think getting yourselves into the revenue shares from sort of the ESL and Blast ecosystems is also it's a really steep investment, I think, to try and get yourselves into those positions. You've got to really be like making top placements in like every single event you attend, and you've got to attend lots of those events from both those organizers, like back to back to back. It's yeah, unless you're already up there, I think it's very hard to justify making huge investments to get there. I think the only way you can really justify it is by sort of organically grinding your way up there, within your own means, and trying to achieve it slowly. I don't think there's a quick fix or a big investment you can make to get there. So yeah, I wish Fnatic all the best. I wouldn't spend that much money on a player, but maybe they'll prove me wrong. Well, we'll have to see. Um, yeah. Okay. So let's do like 5-10 minutes of viewer questions if there are any, and then we'll wrap this up. Try and keep it short but sweet for an hour. And if there's no questions, I'll just log off and consider it that I've explained everything so well that you guys had no reason to ask any questions. So fire away. Otherwise, I will consider it a good job done, and I'll head off and get some beauty sleep or play Diablo. I'm not sure. One of the two. Alrighty. Well, I wasn't here to the 45-minute mark. I got nothing. Well, thanks, Bunny. You can always go back and watch the VOD. Alternatively, if you head over to the YouTube streams, which are, I don't actually know what our YouTube is. Is it, do we have /complexity? No, we don't have /complexity. Do we have /complexity gaming? We do have youtube.com/complexity gaming. If you head on over there right now to the live stream for that, you can just rewind the stream and you can just watch it in your own time whenever you want to. Here we go. Are Valve giving any indication about adjustments to this post major? Can you explain what this is quickly? I'll move on quickly while I go forward. When Sonic decided to come back and sign for Wildcard, did we ever consider him since he knows JT? No, we didn't. I think there's a pretty simple reason for that. One, he he very clearly stated when we had him for the IM Dallas and Blast finals, Blast Spring finals. He was a full time student. We actually basically took him out of school for like 3 weeks. And like after every scrim, after every match, he would like jump on his laptop, like go into his lectures. He'd watch all the VODs back of his lectures. Like he was a full time student. He was retired, and I kept joking to him. I was like, "Hey, you could just be our sub," and he just said like, "I'm retired, bro. I'm retired. Like I'm not playing." And yeah, obviously, yeah, he came back to Wildcard. What? When did they sign their team? Like, was it like middle of last year? No, like the end of last year. They did like a roster shuffle, right? It was like the old Forsaken roster, and then the boss, was it the boss roster? Like Cryptic and those guys, right? They went out, and then they brought in Stan, JBA, and Sonic from the Forsaken roster. And yeah, obviously that's a few months later. I think he was still a student at that point. I don't think he was like full time. But I mean, at that time, that was in 2023. Remember, 2023, November 10th, he joined. What were we doing in November 2023? We just come second at Sydney, and we just come top 4 at Blastful Finals. I don't think that roster changes were necessarily the first thing on our mind at that point. So that's probably the main reason why we wouldn't have signed him. And obviously, he was retired as far as we were concerned. He ended up moving to Canada, I think, due to a family relocation. I think one of his parents got a job in Canada, and that obviously brought him back to the NA scene. And yeah, he was able to keep playing, so it's really cool. And we love Aaron. He's a really fun guy. I travelled back from Cluj with him and Johnny for a little bit, and yeah, he's a nice guy. He's always a friend of the team. But yeah, I think at the time that he rejoined Wildcard and sort of said like he was going to try and play in a more sort of professional way again, it definitely wasn't the time that we were looking at making any changes. Obviously, we'd sort of barely only just started with the Liege at that point. And as I said, top 2 at Sydney, top 4 at Blast, or we were about to make top 4 at Blast. I think he must have joined in between the Sydney and the Blast events. So we were sort of at the peak of our powers, I guess you could say, at that point. So I don't think it was the first thing on our mind to bring in another player. All right, so Shock, you've said that are Valve going to make any indications about adjustments to this post-major? And you said the VRS system. The simple answer is Valve typically don't give any indications. They certainly don't give it to teams, because that would be a pretty significant conflict of interest on their part. I know that they've spoken to some TOs, and TOs constantly are sort of feeding them, ideas and things that they'd like to see and things that would align better across the ecosystem. And, there's definitely a lot of room for improvement. And I think the biggest thing for me right now is, this is the one thing that I would improve straight away just for myself, is right now there's a lot of differences between the third party events, so like the ESL, the Blast, the PGL, those events, and the majors, because they essentially have different rules, even though they are within the same ecosystem, and they are, the third party events qualify you to the majors. They have completely different rules, which means that teams can sort of slither in between the cracks and play events that to qualify them for the majors that they wouldn't be able to play under the major eligibility, for example. And that's based on like regions and nationalities and things like that. So there's definitely room for improvement. I don't think Valve would ever tell a team or tell teams ahead of time, what they're planning to do, because that would be a pretty major issue. Like, if I'd known, for example, about, at the start of the year, they added that rule in that said that if you have like no majority of your roster being from one country, then you would always play the qualifier in the region of like majority. So like if you had 2 Europeans and 2 Americans, and you were qualified for the qualifiers of the major in both regions, like wildcard or potentially going to be, then you would play the highest ranked one, which would be the European ones. You know, you could make an argument that, like, oh, if I go into the winter break, knowing that that was coming in, then obviously I wouldn't get a European player, right? That wasn't the plan anyway. It just worked out. But we did consider it at one point, getting another European player and being like a 2-2-1 team. Um, but we chose not to, and then obviously afterwards found out that that would have been a pretty significant issue. For example, like right now, we would have been playing the European qualifiers if we didn't qualify directly to the major, which is obviously a significantly harder task. So, there's definitely integrity issues that could come about with that. So, yeah, they don't typically give information like that. All right. Haven't seen any more questions so far. Actually, I've got a question for Mischief CS, because I'm going to call you out, Finn. Finn, like 3 weeks, Finn, do you want to come on and be on the show and have a real VRS breakdown show? I'm going to see if he answers. Ooh. He's gone into hiding now. He was all happy to talk when it was about VRS, and now he's disappeared. All right, Mischief says he'll expose VRS for all its flaws. All right, okay, so guys, put that in your calendars. Once I'm back from Bucharest, one of the shows is going to clash with the major qualifier potentially, or be on the day of the major qualifier. So we'll see. But pencil that in for like mid to late April. We're going to do a VRS flaws show here, me and Finn. It'll be the most boring thing you've seen in your life, but it'll be there. Um, so be there or be square. Okay, I was going to throw this up. It's not a question, but can you make Holzek start doing DM and gym? He'll be a top 1 player. He is already working quite a lot on his health. He's not in the gym. I'll say that much. He's not in the gym. But if you've noticed in the past few sort of like 7 months or so, he's lost a lot of weight. Like he's gone from like a 2XL to an L almost in like shirt size. So he's working on his health, like certainly more through diet than anything else. He's definitely eating a lot more healthy, and that's been a big thing for him. So, lots of props for him. It's really not easy to shift weight sometimes, especially with the schedule that we have and the travel we have and the lack of availability of nutritious, high quality foods. Certainly, in some countries it's next to impossible to get those kind of things delivered. So yeah, I think he's doing a great job at sort of being a more healthy and active guy, and he just needs to just to keep at it. But it's entirely self motivated from his perspective. So gotta give him the kudos for that. Here we go. Terminator 49. Something I always wondered, before we signed Holzek, did we consider letting Grim Orp? I know I know we spoke about it a lot, because we really were trying to figure out the best, how do you say, like the best constellation of players at that time. There was a lot of movement. Obviously, we benched Junior going into that summer break. During that summer break, we also had a lot of interest in Fang and Floppy from EG. They were interested in both Fang and Floppy from my memory. We at that time said that we weren't willing to deal with a trade for Floppy, but we could be interested in getting a trade for Fang if we could find a player to replace him. So as far as I know, they actually agreed terms with each other. So like he agreed terms with EG. He was ready to go. So basically rested on us bringing in a rifle to replace Fang and an AWP to replace Junior. And we were obviously, with JT being South African, that would mean that we could bring in like one European player and still have one North American player to be like three North American players, one South African, one European. So we were exploring lots of different options. None of them, as far as I know, were Grim AWPing. There was one where JT could have AWPed, sort of MSL style, but that was not preferable for anyone involved. But there was definitely lots of constellations where potentially we brought in like a European rifler and then went for a North American AWPer still. But ultimately, in our search for all that, we basically determined that the most important role that we could get for like an import player was the AWP. The North American AWPing talent pool wasn't good back then. It's arguably still not that great now. I'd still say that like Junior and OC are still the best two AWPers in North America, which is what they were at the time. You know, OC was on Liquid, Junior was with us. So yeah, obviously OC at that time was unavailable, and Junior we just benched. So it was basically we had to get a European AWPer in, and that basically meant that Fang was irreplaceable. Like Fang was still the best rifler we could play with in North America. So we ended up not making that change at all and just bringing in Holzek. So I'm comfortable talking about that now because it's like 3 years ago. Not going to hurt anyone involved, I don't think. So yeah, no, Grim was not considered on the AWP, but we certainly considered a lot of other AWP players and riflers and everything else. What is your elo? Hold on, let's have a look. One sec. Here we go. What is my elo? Let's have a look. I'm 2149 right now. Oh man, this game, I had an absolute insane game. Like, just look at that carry, boys. Three quads, 4 triples. This was the game of my life. I have never played a game like this in my life. Yeah, I'm 2149 right now. I was higher. Everyone says, "Oh, I was higher." Right? I'm going to show you. So I had the craziest win streak of my life. Like, this was just insane. And then, oh my god. Look at this loss streak, man. This was so bad. I'm not flexing anything showing this. This was like the worst week of my life, I swear. Like, I got to 2335. That's definitely my peak elo. I've never been higher than that. I know that for sure. That's definitely my peak elo. But this, man, this was tragic. I did not duo with Floppy that week. Do you know who I was duoing with actually this week? I was duoing with no, I don't know if he'll show up here. I actually don't know if he'll show. Yeah, this guy, Glute Clapper. I was duoing with this guy for a few days. This is MacMate, the commentator. We just randomly played in a game. So we ended up just duoing for a bit, and we lost like every single game, I think. So I'm not playing with him again. That was the end of that. What extensions adds 800 to all your elo values? Bro, that's trolling, bro. Like, that's not nice. Come on. That was my actual elo. All right, let's have a look. Is top 15 a goal for complexity in 2025? I mean, it certainly would be nice. It definitely would be nice. I mean, if I'm looking at the teams that are in the top 15, like right now, or like fighting for the top 15, it's MIBR, Pain, Furia, 3D Max, Gamer Legion. Like, that's like 17 to 13. I'd like to think we can get there. I'd like to think we can get there this year. It's going to take a little while to get back there. You know, it's not going to be easy. First of all, we've got to qualify for events. Then we've got to win matches at the events, which is not, both of those are actually no easy feat in North America. You know, we have very limited opportunities. We can't just play CCT events to just grind our way back up the rankings. So, we really are dependent on either performing at events and then earning invites to next events, or qualifying for events and then performing at events. So, that's why it's really not easy for North American teams. But I'd like to think that once we get back up onto that ladder, we can sustain there and stay there. But I think it's not easy to get from where we are to that level. Mostly due to the lack of opportunities. If we could play a land event every 3 weeks guaranteed, and then I think we'd get there. But if we just mess up one qualifier, like 2 maps in one qualifier, and all of a sudden that's your season over for 3 months. So I'd like to think we can do it, especially like if we can end this season on a decently positive. If we can do well at Bucharest, if we can qualify for the major and win a few games there, try and get through a few stages, then we can set ourselves up for the next season, get some invites, and hopefully go from there. So I'd like to think by the end of 2025, we can make it to the top 15. Yeah. Let's have a look. Where are we? I think I saw some other questions. Hold on. Here we go. Oh, wow. This is a big one from Juba. As a GM, do you keep tabs of some of the up-and-coming talent, or really only once the team starts to think roster changes will be needed? If you do keep tabs, any interesting names you're watching? Well, I'm not going to reveal the names because everyone else will start watching them too. But I mean, I'm going to be honest. Like, I think for the most part, the up-and-coming talent kind of shows themselves. So most teams are already quite aware of the players and who's coming through. And I don't think there's too much, too much hidden gems, so to speak. I think Europe definitely has a lot more, has a lot more diversity, and players can come up kind of within like a local ecosystem, within, the Danish scene or something, and may not break out on the European scene, but might, kind of make their breakout by switching from a domestic team to a European team, like a sort of global team, if that makes sense. But yeah, we definitely try and keep up with. What I'd say is we don't necessarily try and keep up with up and coming talent as much as we work on making sure that we have a progression plan in place. And that is not as easy as it seems, because you never know what all the moving parts are going to be. But, we always try and make sure we think like, in the next 6 months, in the next year, we know that these players' contracts are expiring, so they may be available, so we can maybe make changes, or we have our own players' contracts expiring, so we have to be aware of the players that we need to replace, and try and focus on making sure we have a succession plan in place, succession, whichever one you want to use, in place to replace that player. So, I'd say that. You don't necessarily go into every single transfer window with 5 players in each of the 5 roles, because some players are not going to be replaced that transfer window or anything like that. But yeah, we generally try and keep like a general list of players in mind for each kind of position, and depending on the situation, whether we think we can make an upgrade, or whether with contract expiring, or people want to buy our players. It's it's definitely a fluid thing. But yeah, we're definitely keeping tabs on players, but I wouldn't necessarily limit it to up and coming players. So look, what is the worst thing about being a GM besides all the travel time? It's watching the team and knowing you can do nothing about the result. Obviously, you can affect the before the game, but once the game starts, like you're just an innocent bystander, just watching the game and hoping and praying. And I think the worst thing about being a GM is like watching something unfold that was in the prep. So like oh, we saw that in the prep, or we prepared for this, and then watching it all go wrong. I think that actually might be the worst thing, because like, oh, we did the hard bit, we found out the information, and then watching it blow up in front of your face is tough. But I think it's always easy to look at the game and be like, oh, why are we doing that? Why did that happen? And you forget that there's 5 other guys on the other side of the server, like trying to cause chaos and trying to blow up your own plan. So it's it's very easy just to be like, oh man, we fucking sucked, but actually the other guys are trying to make you suck, right? So yeah, it's the hardest part is definitely watching the games, because yeah, you're just helpless, and it's It's not easy. In the unfortunate case that a qualified team is unable to attend Austin, do you know how the slot is awarded? VRS or MRQ status? I would say that, from my memory, is a pretty significant hole in the rulebook. The last time this happened was Nine Pandas for Copenhagen, right? They didn't get their visas, the Russian guys, so they got replaced by Gamer Legion, which is the team they beat in the last chance qualifier of the European qualifier. So if you go on the precedent set there, it would be the qualifier team, but that was also when every single team qualified. So now there's invites and qualifications. There is potentially a hole there. I would like to think they would preserve the natural qualification system. So they would take the next highest team from the qualifiers, because those are the teams that had qualified prior to. They were invited to the RMRs, but I don't remember a team not being able to attend the RMRs. I only remember like a team not going to the major specifically. So yeah, I'm gonna hope and pray that they would preserve the qualification system. So they would take the teams that made it to the MRQ and take the next, play a playoff match, or maybe like take the next two teams from the MRQ, sort them via VRS ranking or something like that. Like have some kind of determiner that separates them. But the honest answer is I don't know what they would do. So that's an interesting question. Hopefully it doesn't have to happen. I have a feeling you might be onto something, based on our current experience with visas and what we've been hearing from our visa lawyers and stuff like that. Like the times for getting a visa has been massively increased under the new American government, who are very strict on immigration. So yeah, I think if you're a team that hasn't already applied for your visa like 3 months ago, I think you're in for a bit of a bad time. Yeah. Any thoughts on ESL's approach to teams going from Astana to Dallas violates Valve's operating requirements? It seems like they aren't allowed to punish teams for not being there on days they didn't originally announce as part of the tournament media day. I mean, I'd have to go back and check all the dates that they initially added. From memory, I'm pretty sure that Valve didn't update to the Valve didn't update to the invitation requirements today to account for that, if I recall correctly. Yeah, here comes the screen share back again in the GitHub. Here's the joke. Yeah, so they added this. So it says tournament date shall mean the entire period spanning from its start date to an end date, and includes all days in which rosters could be required to be present, e.g. for matches, media, meetings, or other tournament-related activities. So they just added this. They just added this today. So what I don't know is when ESL... I mean, we can go check. When ESL announced their... This is not the right ESL Pro Tour website. This is the old one. Here we go. ESL Mega Events. That's a new one. Is this even what I want? Yeah, it is. When did they announce it? It was like September last year, right? They had to all announce everything. No, still... oh, wow. They did a lot of announcements. Is it this one? Or is it... Didn't they have to announce by... Oh, no, they were late, right? ESL were late. So they announced 19th to the 25th. Is that the media day? 19th. So the 19th is a Monday. So typically the Dallas media day was on the 18th. So you might be right. Yeah, typically the Dallas media day was on the Sunday. So technically they didn't announce them having to be there for media day, but it would be included now if they do include the media day. So yeah, maybe ESL messed up. Maybe ESL messed up on that slightly by not including it, but it's also possible that they didn't know they had to include that and they thought they just had to include the match dates. So yeah, that might just be a little quirk of the system, and obviously now it's accounted for, and I'm sure Valve are telling TOs to account for the entire time they need to be there from arrival day until the end day. So I'm sure we might see some small date shifts happen. I don't think it violates the operating requirements at all, because when the teams accept the invite, they're specifically told. I can't show you an email because I'm pretty sure it would be a breaking confidentiality thing. But that ESL are probably the best in the space at like being extremely diligent with like announcing all the dates, getting all the information, at least at the tier 1 level. I can't speak for like ECL and advanced and the SEA leagues, things like that. But like at the tier 1 level, like ESL are by far the best at having like as much information as possible, like up to front, like up front with you, like all the dates, like very clearly laid out in the invite, like what you're accepting, when you need to be here, when you need to be there, whatever it is. So it would have been very clear in the invite that they wouldn't have been able to make it in time. And I don't think that ESL are to blame for any of this issue. The only thing I will say is that I do think that ESL giving in to the teams and allowing them to miss the media day, and this is unrelated to the Valve stuff, but allowing them to miss the media day and allowing them to stay in the tournament, which I suppose is related because you would be disqualifying them from a VRS tournament, in my opinion, is setting a bad precedent that teams can now just force those changes, and basically force TOs to allow them to arrive late, and they just get a punishment. And the punishment is like $5,000 or something, or whatever it is. But that doesn't matter because it won't affect their VRS. They just lose the money, but they still get to attend multiple events. So, oh, apparently, hold on, here we go. They've just announced it. They haven't said anything. All they've said is he's playing the qualifier, basically. I don't get it. Hold on. Sup, bitch. That's all we got. So let's deep dive into this. PGL Astana 2025. He's here, Stewie 2K. So is he only playing the qualifier? I have a feeling he's only playing the qualifier. Like, if I'm going to be very, 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 very cynical here, what this will do if it's, I mean, they haven't announced who is replacing, but I can pretty much guarantee that it'll be one of these three here. It'll be one of these three. I don't know who it is, but it'll be one of these three. And if it's one of these three guys and they play the Astana qualifier, he said he's standing in for VRS points and it's FaZe on stream. So he's not standing in for VRS points. He's standing in for FaZe. So they remove this European thing, right? Because right now, if Wildcard dropped to where M80 are in the rankings, they would have to go play the European qualifier for the major, which obviously they don't want to do. Obviously, they don't want to do that. So they're adding Stewie 2K to play for FaZe, apparently, which lines up with what I already knew. And what that will basically do is turn them into a, rather than them being a 2-2-1 team, they'll be a 3-1-1 team. So then this European logo will go. So even if they drop down to here by not performing well in the Astana qualifier, then they will just play the North America. They'll play the North American qualifier like it's nothing. I don't personally think you should be able to change your region on the very last match of the day to avoid playing the European qualifier. But I also understand that flying in some random European to play the Astana qualifier is, also not easy. But, it is what it is at the end of the day. We'll see how it all plays out. I don't know if it's it looks like it's a one-time thing because they've just put the Astana thing on it. But yeah, we will have to see. Sorry, someone tagged me in it, so I can go back and look at it quickly. Yeah, I mean it seems like it's just for the Astana thing. There's so much Astana branding. They even put the logo in there. I would guess this is just for Astana. It will revert their team back to being a North American team, and then they don't have the risk of playing the. Oh no! Don't look that up. Shouldn't click notifications. Yeah, it will offload the risk of them having to play the European qualifier, and then I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if you see FaZe straight back in afterwards. No, so the way the ranking works is it will take the very last roster that you played with. So who made a roster change somewhere around here? Party Astronauts probably made some roster changes, didn't they? Let's have a look. No roster change. Oh, is this before they blew up? They had peeping here. So basically, like, if they'd taken the ranking on this day, so this is the 23rd of the 11th. If they'd taken the ranking on this day, then the roster would have been this roster. And then the next day, if they then played with Viz instead of peeping, the roster would have been this roster. So yeah, essentially, it's whatever the last roster you played with is the roster that will be ranked on the website. So like same thing for us. Like, where is it? Here. So like when we played our last game with the old roster, this was our roster. As soon as we played with the new team, this was the roster that could accept invites. So even though like Elige and Floppy were fully part of our core, as soon as they aren't playing, it switches straight away to the new roster. So yeah, essentially, as soon as Wildcard play their first match in Astana, they will drop the European tag. As soon as FaZe doesn't play and they play with a North American player, you will drop the European tag immediately, and they will just be an America's team, and then that allows them to essentially have no jeopardy. So even if they don't win the Astana qualifier and don't retain their 5th slot, they won't drop to the European qualifier, which, yeah, I have some thoughts, but I don't really want to share them. I think it's a bit messed up. But just to be completely clear, Wildcard would not be breaking the rules by doing that. They would not be breaking the rules by doing that. If that was their intention, if that's intentional, if they've done this purely to game the system, they would not be breaking the rules. Just to be clear. So there's not much we can really say about it other than that. It's cool to see Stewie back. He promised us he would be back last year. He's taken his time, but he promised he's back at least. That's cool. I like Stewie. I think he's a fun guy. So it'd be fun to see him play this week. Just for clarity, we have scrimmed him already this week, so he's already been playing. So that's why I knew who he was replacing. I just didn't know if I could say it. But yeah, Wildcard not breaking any rules if they replace FaZe with Stewie and get themselves out of the European qualifier. But yeah, it's definitely questionable if you make a sub for one match essentially to change your region right before the major invitations go out. I think that's a bit fucked up. But it's not outside the rules, so it is what it is. Come on, HLTV, you're slow. Where's your announcement? Right. I don't think I've seen. I mean, so hold on. So Brazy Man, M80 did do that when they used keto. They did switch. They were North American for quite a while, actually. That's actually what messed them up with what was it? They M80 missed the qualification for Dallas, Blast, Rising, and Bucharest, I think it was, because I'm gonna load up the GitHub again. I might as well just keep this thing open at this point. You'll see here, M80 here, Keto, Sin, Slacks are actually on the European ranking at this point in time because they played with Keto in July when Rec broke his leg and he didn't travel to Europe, so they played that Blast Bounty with Keto, which was just these matches here. This was actually just this match here. They played one match with Keto, lost it, switched their region to. I completely agree, Breezy Man. I don't know why they used a European player instead of an NA player. I know that they were fully aware this would happen. Like, I was asked the question by someone related to the team or within the team, like, will this change our ranking? And I said, yes, it will. And you will not be eligible for any invites in the North American if you don't reset it by the time it comes back in February. They knew it would happen. But what that actually meant that they had to do, there's no record of the Dallas qualifier, I don't think. But if you look here, oh my god, that's horrible. This is why I prefer the stats page. They actually had to go and play. This is the closed qualifier. Okay, so they didn't show the open qualifier on HLTV, but they actually had to go and play the open qualifier for this event, this Ace North American Masters thing. They actually had to go and play the 2020. This one? No. Oh, where am I? I do prefer Liquipedia for these kind of things. So they had to qualify. Sorry, yeah, they had to play to qualify via the closed qualifier, which they had to then qualify through the open qualifier, just to make it all nice and awkward. Yeah, so M80 did know that. What tournament? Sorry, I'm just being asked by the producer if we need to make a 2-hour time slot for the show. I didn't realize 40 minutes had passed. This is the last question. Last question. What tournament were you aware of Nick's? Yeah, definitely. Definitely him having a bit more of a breakout with Nouns definitely elevated him for us. You know, this little breakout here he had with Nouns towards the end of the season. But actually, if you go back and look, like him in this is CCT. I'm looking for ECL. Where's his ECL? Oh my god, where's his ECL games? This must be an ECL game, right? Oh, I'm looking for here we go. There's these BO2s. So ECL, like, he's actually playing pretty good in ECL. Like, obviously, you know, against the big teams where lag were getting smashed out, he was having a bit of trouble. But like, considering where they finished in ECL that season, he massively outperformed like his team where he should have been, right? Because like lag got kind of fucked. Right? Like lag got pretty destroyed. So for him to actually have such good performances, considering they lost 22 matches, I mean, I don't know how many of those are forfeits. Are any of them forfeits? None of them were forfeits. So yeah, they played 28 matches and he had like really good performances. And that was his first season in ECL. He came up from advanced up before that. So like he was on a pretty good trajectory anyway, which is what sort of made him aware to us. And then obviously going from there to, like, you can see here, like this is him going through like advanced into ECL. And then obviously his adaptation to tier 1 has been a bit rough. But like the progression he's had while like steadily playing against better players and then has also been steadily improving was the potential that we saw in him to to come to us and make that step up. Now, obviously, stepping up from your first season in ECL in North America to playing against VP, Eternal Fire, Liquid, Mongols, VP is quite tough. So give him the benefit of the doubt. I think I even saw him in the chat recently. Give him the benefit of the doubt. He's working hard, he's improving. So yeah, there's multiple events, but certainly the Mythic Coal League and also Frigate Cargo and those other events like brought him to our attention for sure. Yeah. When did teams scrim? We are scrimming, I think, right now actually, or in 10 minutes. I think we're scrimming quite early these days. I feel like. Actually, no. Today's quite late. Today we're scrimming 5 p.m. Central, so that's quite late for us. Usually we start at like 3 p.m. Central, which in NA is pretty late, pretty early. Sorry. In Europe, we would typically scrim like, I think we'd usually meet up around like 11, first scrim at like 12 or 1, usually 1, I think. So usually we scrim sort of like afternoon, which is also matches up where most of our match times would be. Like, I think there's only a few events where we'd start matches at like 10 a.m. Most other times, like the first match would be at 12, second match would be like 3 or 4, third match would be at 7, 7 or 8. You kind of get the picture. So we try and scrim when we would also play our matches to try and sort of get used to being in that kind of schedule. Right. I am done with questions now because I've gone on for too long. It's been 45 minutes extra. That's this show done for the day. We'll come back next week. As I said, I'm going to try and get either Nick, Danny, or Mike, so Grim, Sixy, or Nix, onto the show next week. Maybe more than one of them, and we'll try and set up like a little show with everyone else involved, because we'll be together on the boot camp. Otherwise, good evening, complexity guest. The store is now closed. I think that's Scott telling me that I need to leave. So yeah, we'll come back next week with the other guys and hopefully do a fun show. I don't know what we'll talk about, but probably we'll talk about something. And yeah, I guess the next thing for us to recap will be the Astana qualifier for sure. We can talk about the Astana qualifier. Obviously, we can talk about our prospects going into Yellow Compass. We would have already played at least 2, maybe 3 matches in Yellow Compass by that point. So, we'll have a very good idea of how we're doing and whether we stand a chance at qualifying for the major directly or not. If not, we will just be hopefully playing some good games in Yellow Compass and preparing nicely for PGL Bucharest, which will be the week afterwards. So, yeah, I hope you all had a good time. I imagine we will talk about the VRS at some point. I'll get the GitHub ready. And yeah, have a great time. We'll see you next week. Don't forget to join the Discord. It is discord.gg/complexity. Head over to the shop and buy yourself some lovely patriotic American merch, despite being British. That's how I roll. And have a good evening. I guess it's evening for you guys. Was it 11 o'clock for me? Yeah, probably close to evening for you guys as well. 6 hours. Enjoy your afternoons. Spend some time with your loved ones, and have a wonderful time. Good night.